Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
Intelligent design science curricula making headway into Texas public schools. I'm Matt Barber, Vice President of Liberty Counsel Action and Associate Dean with Liberty University School of Law. And today for Matt Staver, joining me is Shawn Akers, a Dean of Liberty's Helms School of Government and Policy Analyst with Liberty Counsel. Shawn, Cynthia Dunbar, Professor Cynthia Dunbar with Liberty University School of Law, is also Special Counsel with Liberty Counsel. She, for a number of years, was on the Texas Board of Education, State Board of Education, helped to design the curricula for textbooks and helped to establish which textbooks would be used in Texas in order to educate youth there in that state, undoing much of the historical revisionist curricula that had been put forward by secular socialist types, those seeking to recreate history, to change history essentially. And her great efforts are starting to gain some traction. Our friends over at the Christian Post report that as early as this year, public schools in Texas may be able to teach students about the science of intelligent design in their science classes. This, of course, has reignited the much heated debate over teaching the theory of evolution. The decision was made by the State Board of Education back in 2009 to require teachers to encourage students to scrutinize, quote, all sides of current scientific theories, including evolution, something that the neo-evolutionists, neo-Darwinists do not want done. This is a talk about a cult. The cult of neo-Darwinism says, okay, ignore the man behind the curtain, all that evidence that screams out against this theory of macroevolution that we all came about when lightning struck a mud puddle, as Ben Stein famously says. They are saying, no, look at all theories, scrutinize, and those who seek to find truth look at all of the evidence, even if it's evidence that they may not want to see. That's what we see with intelligent design. They want that shut down because it flies in the face of their secularist, materialist view that somehow we just all, through random mutation and some big explosion, materialized here on Earth.
Matt, this really begs the question of those who would oppose this of what are you afraid of? Because this is not requiring you to teach creationism. All this says is that, as you quoted from the Christian Post, requiring teachers to encourage students to scrutinize all sides of current scientific theories, including evolution. But you see, Matt, we talked earlier in the week about secular humanism becoming a religion, and this shows you yet again just how it, one, is religion, and two, that it's a protected religion by the state. It's a religion clearly here because there's no way to observe this according to the scientific method. What you're having to do is take it on faith that all these things happen the way that you say they happened, and you're not letting anyone touch that faith, even by discussing alternative possibilities or alternative interpretations of the biological and historical record. So, we're seeing this play out, that this is indeed a chosen religion. Now, one of the things, Matt, that I wish biology teachers around the nation would do is simply start by teaching the Declaration of Independence. Yes, Matt, the Declaration of Independence. Now, you say, what does that have to do with science? Well, I'll tell you. One is I just would like to see someone make the claim that it's unconstitutional to teach the Declaration of Independence, but the Declaration of Independence begins by making a comment, yes, on science and creation. It says, and I quote, that we are endowed by our Creator Yeah, that's right. We have a Creator, and He endowed us with certain inalienable rights. Seems like a pretty good place to start, Matt, in a biological discussion of the origins of life, with the Declaration of Independence telling us that we were indeed created by a living God and that He endowed His creation with certain unalienable rights from the very beginning.
Well, Charles Darwin, we have to remember that at the time that he came up with his theory of evolution here, that again, we're all part of the same family of animals, starting with the amoeba, and that somehow out of that all the millions upon millions of species of the earth over an extended period of time and through random mutation materialize. When you look at the complexity, of course, of the individual, of all the mechanisms that make us work, in our body parts, and the chemical exchanges that take place, and the clear intelligence behind the engineering of mankind, you look at it and say random mutations. Well, that flies in the face of the second law of thermodynamics, which basically says that things get worse with time and with mutations. They don't get better. Well, Darwin even said, look, he was looking at the single protein cell. He thought it was just a glob of plasma. He didn't know. He didn't even understand the complexity that goes on with the bacterial flagellum and within a protein molecule and all that occurs. All he saw was a plasma. He even said, look, if science later down the road shows that this stuff is much more complex, or that my theories are not that solid, then hey, I'm wrong. I don't have everything vested in this. Well, as we learn more and more in our technology gathers steam, we see that those who defend to their dying last breath this theory of Darwinist evolution don't have the answers. They don't have answers for the complexity that even Charles Darwin was not aware of. No,
and the real complicating fact on this that really shows the religious nature, Matt, is we have a scientific mechanism called Occam's razor. And what Occam's razor says basically is that all things being equal, the simplest answer is usually the right answer. Mm-hmm. It's a rule of thumb, so to speak, that if it looks like somebody fixed a bowl of cereal, or it looks like maybe a bowl of cereal fell out of an airplane and landed in full form on your table, the more likely explanation is that somebody came through and fixed a bowl of cereal. It's just a little more likely. And when you look at all of these wonderful scientific theories that these folks come up with, Darwin himself admitted that there's a lot of gaps here. I'm not real sure. There's no way to observe. No. Now, we've got on one hand the idea that a string of information that we call DNA, something that we are so proud to have just recently been able to map, not yet completely read, Matt, just be able to map. That's where our knowledge is of DNA, that this set of encyclopedias not only exist and puts proteins and chemicals into a more complex nature, which does, as you said, violate the second law of thermodynamics, but literally that it rewrote itself randomly time after time after time after time until it wrote itself from just a jumble of letters into literally a perfect self-sustaining system on one hand versus, okay, maybe the book didn't write itself, maybe there's an author. Yeah. Well, if you and I found a book at the library and it has no author noted in it, Occam's razor would tend to help us make the postulation that, there's no author, the book wrote itself, or maybe there's an author. We would probably fall on the side of there being an author. Well, let's be clear here, though. The motivation and the cult of neo-Darwinism, they're motivated not as much by scientific motives and trying to get to the truth of the matter at hand, as they are, I believe, by socio-political driving forces or cultural driving forces. Because if we were created, if life in the universe was created by a sovereign, all-knowing, all-loving God, well then, Shawn, guess what? You're accountable to that God. It's much easier to be kind of to look at yourself as a
just an advanced monkey, a really, really smart monkey, if you don't want any kind of accountability in terms of your behaviors. That's the driving force, I believe, behind this silly, dying on the hill defense of neo-Darwinism. Well, folks, at Liberty Counsel, we want all of the information out there. Glad to see that Texas is moving in that direction, having an open debate with all of the scientific evidence readily available so that people can make their own decision, look at the science at hand, and the science which overwhelmingly supports the notion that we have an intelligent designer. Go to lc.org to learn how you can become part of Liberty Counsel's ministry.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.